Swerve City is a real thing, and the realest member in the room is most definitely this man. Swerve City, Swerve State, Swerve Nation, Swerve Universe. The skies and stars are just beginning the limit. A champion most anywhere, any group. He's competed, wrestled, entertained. Thank you, sir. Hey, how about this? Sir Swerve Strickland, knighted in England.
I'll take it. I appreciate that. Never got knighted before.
Hey, curious, how did you come up with Swerve for your ring name?
I was a big Sean fan, and back when like 2012, when the Good Music group came out with Mercy with Kanye and Pusha and 2 Chainz and all them guys, Big Sean had a ad lib on there called, and he kept saying Swerve throughout the song, and I thought it was so cool. And at the time, I was trying to figure out like a nickname or a name for Strickland to go along with Strickland. And so I just went with Swerve. So I just kept going, like, kept following that.
Hey, and music is a big part of your life as well. Talk about the music and what you're doing with the music these days.
Man, right now I'm doing a lot with it. The music has like really been like the core through my wrestling career all throughout, which I didn't really notice that. Like when I first came out and debuted with CZW, it was Sammy Callahan's idea for me to just have I Want You Back on Jackson 5 coming out in CZW. So it was like, oh, that was very unique and different. It wasn't like a rap song. It wasn't nothing hard or metal or anything like that. It was just like completely left away, going left. And then it eventually evolved into Shaka Khan. And then when I eventually started doing my own music, it was like, you know what, let me transition to actually being some part like the persona being more music oriented, to have like an identity in the wrestling world, especially when I was getting transitioning to more like being on television. And then that's where like when I got to AEW, I just kind of did a promo and I was like, I'm not a rapper, I'm a mogul. And then that's where things really started transitioning to like this dark mogul like identity and persona to what you see before in AEW, which is how we became with Mogul Embassy.
Well, you mentioned Kanye, and I'm curious, do you take a little bit of Kanye with what you're doing too, or no?
Oh yeah,
In the ring, in the wrestling ring.
In the ring, maybe not as much, but as just for like as an identity with talking and promos and stuff, you know, there's this God complex to the character and persona a little bit, where he thinks he's gifting the world with his presence, and he's gifting the world with his music and stuff like that. And the entrance music, Big Pressure, is actually produced by Prophet, the producer, who won his Grammys with Kanye, actually. So there's like a little bit of a tie-in, like in real life, with that kind of stuff. And I have features with like Fireman, who just worked on the new Vultures track with Kanye and Ty Dolla $ign. So there's a lot of like actual true music-oriented elements and ties and relationships that actually go into the persona and what you see as Swerve and Swerve Strickland and Mogul Embassy on a weekly basis.
In making your own music, where can people listen to that music? And do you perform live? Do you do concerts?
I have done a couple concerts, actually. I'm actually going to be performing on the Jericho cruise coming up. I did last year as like a real emergency thing because they needed like something like, we need a performance going on for like the 30 minutes. So I was like, oh, I got enough songs to fill that. So this coming Jericho cruise, I'll be performing like a full like hour-long set, and I have a lot of music to fill with that. You can find me on Swerve the Realist is the artist name, Swerve the Realist, on all streaming platforms like iTunes, Tidal, Spotify. The Big Pressure song just crossed 1 million streams just on Spotify as of recently, actually. So it's growing, and we appreciate Nana for blowing the song up and making one of the greatest entrances in wrestling right now, and really like adding so much fuel to the fire to the Big Pressure remix.
You mentioned the Jericho Cruise, and what a great event. And there's a lot of entertainment, a lot of pro wrestlers, fans have a great time. I'm curious for you, seeing what Chris Jericho's are you too? Hey, there's this wrestler doing it too.
Excuse me, you broke up a little bit.
Chris Jericho was in a band Fozzy, and it was great. A lot of fun. And I'm curious, I know it's different music. His is more rock based and all, but when you see another wrestler, Chris Jericho, doing that and having success, does that inspire you that, hey, I could do this too?
Oh, for sure. I've always said like he's kind of like the architect. He's the architect in the multimedia personality in pro wrestling. You know, this all started come from like Jericho doing this kind of thing first. You know, starting a band back in like the 2000s and the 99, 2000s, and being able to just tour, also be a heavy persona on television with like WWF and WWE at the time and stuff, and then still carry that over to to AEW, and you know, be able to like go overseas, do tours, do his cruise, perform on that with his bands, then do it on an All In, you know, on in front of 80,000 people, then do a podcast, then do like television and like do like musical guest appearances on like Masked Singer and Dancing with the Stars and doing all these things. Like Jericho's like one of the he's a monarch for that kind of thing, for me to be able to like, you know what, this is possible. I didn't know I could do all these kind of things. I didn't know I could like jump from platform to platform to platform and still have a full-time, full experience wrestling like career at the same time. Is you're going to lose a lot of sleep, you know, but man, he's really paved the way for me to be able to even think this was a possibility to do that kind of stuff.
Swerve, you'll have plenty of time to sleep later in life. You go for it all now.
Absolutely, man.
I'm curious because you mentioned gifting before, and I'm saying we're in the holiday spirit here. What better gift than to get AEW tickets for Dynamite and Rampage, I believe, too, for December 27th, few days after Christmas, right in Orlando, Florida, at the University of Central Florida, at Additions Arena. This is going to be huge. You have a huge match in this Continental Classic finals to the finals. And I want you to talk a little bit about that. Wow, Jon Moxley, Jay White, you going in there, battling it out to try to get to the championships. What is that going to be like for you? You made it this far. And about the event itself coming to Orlando.
The event itself, the Classic, has just been like a shot in the arm of what the pro wrestling industry needed. You know, just like introducing a new style of tournament bracketing with the Continental Classic and round robin style of like blocks and scoring points to move forward. You know, in certain tournaments, the usual tournaments, you're seeing like a spot 8th seed and the 7th seed and the 6th seed and 3rd and 4th and 2nd seed. Sometimes those guys don't cross paths and they don't like really go and face each other, because if the 8th seed beats the 7th seed or beats the 4th seed, they just move on. But in this round robin tournament, everybody has to face everybody. Everybody has to get a chance to go against the low seed to the high seed to the middle. And that's what made it so special. Like everybody who was in the block is like, oh man, I get to see these matchups. I get to see these matchups. That's going to be cool. Oh, I don't know who's going to win here. Oh, I think this is going to be a draw. And I think a lot of the fans had a lot of fun with the scoring. Like, oh, so-and-so beats so-and-so. If Moxley beats Roosh, he gets advances to this. But if Roosh is like he's not out of the tournament yet because so-and-so has to lose in order for him to get an opportunity to move on. It made it a lot of fun. And I think like whoever's like really truly like a wrestling connoisseur can have a lot of fun with those kind of things. And me being a part of that, the first one, we have to set the tone for the first ever Continental Classic. And me being like one of the finalists to go against Jay White and Jon Moxley, who's at the end of the day, when his career is all said and done, he's going to go down as a Hall of Famer, an all-time great. Being able to like not just face him once in this tournament, but face him twice, it means a lot. And I get a redemption for myself. And then Jay White, who's been one of the pioneers of New Japan Wrestling for the last 3-4 years, I would say, coming over here now, he is like kind of new and just being integrated to the national audience as far as like on-screen television, you know. And I have a victory over him. That means something, and that means something to him as well. He wants his redemption on me. So it's like eyes on both sides of me. You know, everybody's after something, and we all want to take it out on each other.
So you're not looking ahead to World's End then?
Oh, I'm looking forward to World's End, but I'm not looking past my opponents.
Yes.
Yes.
It's so funny because we mentioned Jay White. He looks just so comfortable doing whatever he does. It's just like, I think too, you could probably just give him a microphone or say, hey, we need you to go 15, 20, 30. And okay, I'm ready to go. Boom. He just seems that way, Swerve. I don't know what your interaction with him. Is that the type of persona that or vibe you get from him? He's very professional.
Incredibly professional. That's why I would say, like, a lot of fans are saying, like, the future of this company is like Jay White's a part of it. They see it's like myself, Jay White, Hangman Page, and MJF, and you have the Will Ospreay who's going to be coming in full time around February, March era. That's the era and the identity of what AEW is going to be the future of. And just seeing like those core 5 guys of us, like all within like our early 30s. Like we've had 10-year careers, but we're also going to ready to have another 10 to 15 years. And we are going to what's growing, the crop that's going to grow. That's like we take a lot of pride in being in that position. We take a lot of pride standing next to one another, as like we all have kind of a unique history with one another in some way. And now we get to take all the chemistry and all that rivalry and throw it on screen for everybody to see and honestly elevate the company to new heights it hasn't been to yet, all off of our backs. And, you know, we take a lot of pride in that.
The pride shows, and it shows in your work. I mean, everywhere you've gone, you've done very well. You can go down the list. I mean, whether it was Evolve, whether it was Maryland Championship Wrestling, NXT, MLW, now we're WWE, and then now AEW. And you've already been a tag champ with Keith Lee, but you bring it, your performance, your wrestling, your style, your skill, your mic, just everything. And I'm curious because you mentioned Hangman Page, and you and him just had this incredible match, 5-star type match. And here's my thought. When you're doing this, I've never done this. When you're doing something like that and you're in it, you're right there. You and him are going at it. Can you sense that something special is going on, or you don't know that until after it happens in that match?
We during the time we sensed something special was occurring with just the way the audience was reacting to every time we made contact with each other. We sensed something was, even leading up to the match itself, we sensed like something was brewing just by the simple fact that every time we got on screen, there was a reaction. Every time we said something to one another and didn't even, they couldn't wait for us to touch again. So the lead up is what it was all about. Just that approach to the landing, sticking the landing was the match itself. And so within like the first 5 minutes, you got him hitting his big finisher, buckshot lariat, then him tying me up, stapling me, then like bashing me in the head, me bleeding, and him drinking the blood, all that within the first 5 minutes of that match. That's when I was like, okay, I think we took it over the top, and I think we're going to do something special tonight. And then the response afterwards, and there's just the traction it just took, like it went to all these different media outlets, and it really just like covered all different landscapes of pro wrestling. If you didn't watch, if you didn't watch the pay-per-view, you had to go back and reorder it and watch it for this match. Or if you weren't too familiar with AEW, you were now. You had to go out of your way. Now, like, I'm gonna start watching every time I see these guys, you know, step on the screen, because wow, something's going to happen now. Just that's what made that so special, and that's what, like, Hangman Page was already a phenomenal performer, even though I personally don't like him at all. But you got to understand, like, this is why this guy is in the position he is. He's a massive athlete, incredible, just heart and will for this business. And me getting in the ring with him, testing his will and pushing his will, is what made me special that night.
And that was incredible. Like I said, 5-star effort, just off the charts. But I am curious. I don't know, Swerve, if you could pull back the curtain a little bit. If you can't, that's okay. But I'm thinking, since Hangman, because obviously a lot of play got with him drinking the blood, I'm thinking, Was Gangrel backstage? Was he giving him tips before the match? Did something happen? Come on, you can tell us now if so.
We had a lot of celebrities backstage. Gangrel was not one of them.
All right. Put that rest to rest. So, hey, Swerve, I got a few more wrestling questions I want to get you about your career, and we'll get you out of here. I'm curious. Your wrestling past makes your wrestling present and future bright. How did the journey start for you? And I want to wrap this up. Go ahead, though, Swerve.
How did it start for me? It was like I was actually having this conversation on my podcast last night. We just filmed last night with Chris Van Fleet. Shout out Chris Van Fleet in this show. This is an incredible talent.
I know Chris. Chris used to be down here in South Florida. Excellent what he does.
Excellent.
Insight.
Yeah. We were discussing like getting the start in what we do in our profession and stuff like that. It was just like we had that epiphany. It was just like I need to get started in what I want to do, not what I want to pursue just to like make an income and put food on the table. What I want to do and pursue that I'm going to be passionate about and love. And pro wrestling was what I had a passion for and a love for. So that's what I wanted to pursue. And there was no other option for me. Like I had the military as like a background just in case like something, God forbid, something was to happen in my career, like injury wise. But so that was where it was just like pro wrestling was just like, this is what I think I need to be doing. It was just destiny for me in a sense. And I can't explain what it was. It was just that light bulb just went out. I'm like, this is where I need to be. It's not here. Quit your job, get out of your stuff, leave, and go to where you feel like you need to be destined. And pro wrestling just happened to be it. And it was Richmond, Virginia, Ground Zero Wrestling. I called the place. They were like, we can have a tryout for you on Tuesday. Sure enough, on Tuesday, I was there. My mom took me there and like paid for my first month's tuition. And I started.
And what a journey it's been so far and continuing. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Big event, December 27th, Wednesday, AEW in Orlando at UCF, Additions Arena. It's going to be a huge event. Those Continental Classic finals in the blue and gold divisions. You're a big part of that and all. And I got to wrap it up with this, and it's quick. So the holidays are coming up. So I'm wondering, Swerve, for the family, for the kids, for anybody, is it bicycles or cars now?
The kids are 14 and 12 now. Right now, we just did for holidays. We did new phone and a tablet. Like, well, we're getting closer to cars, but we're gonna still like get our ways up there. I don't think my girls want to even ride bikes anymore.
Thank you so much, Swerve. Go get them.